Money is plentiful for those who understand the simple laws which govern its acquisition. Let me tell you something most people will never say out loud. Getting rich is not complicated. People love to pretend it is. They dress it up in mystery, wrap it in jargon, lock it behind exclusive circles and ancient secrets, as if only a chosen few possess the map. But the truth? The truth has always been sitting right in front of you. Wealth isn't complex. It's just uncomfortable. It doesn't demand genius. It doesn't demand perfection. What it demands is something far more rare than either of those things: radical self-honesty and the nerve to move strategically when everything in you wants to stand still. Most people don't fail to build wealth because it's impossible. They fail because they refuse to look at what the process actually costs. They want the reward without the risk, the outcome without the pressure, the mountain view without ever leaving the valley. But the world doesn't negotiate those terms. Too many people want to do the minimum, complain at maximum volume, and somehow expect life to hand them extraordinary results in return. They believe that half effort plus a big dream equals transformation. It doesn't. Reality doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to principles. And the principle is this: money doesn't flow toward desire. It flows toward understanding. Understanding the game not as you wish it were played, but exactly as it is played. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He studied power, not comfort. He observed human behavior without flinching, without fantasy. And what he found was simple: reality rewards those who face it without illusions. So let's dissolve yours right now. Forget the motivational slogans you've been fed your entire life. Work hard and good things will come. Does that hold up? Millions of people work brutally hard every single day. Most of them are exhausted, underpaid, and going nowhere. Dream big and success follows. No, dreaming without power is just entertainment. These phrases feel good. They also keep people compliant. And compliant people are easy to manage. They wake up at the same time, follow the same routine, scroll the same feeds, go to the same job, come home to the same couch, and repeat it tomorrow. Predictability gets you survival. But survival is not wealth. Comfort is not control. Think about it seriously. Do you actually believe the system is designed to make everyone rich? Of course it isn't. Systems function best when people are manageable, when they follow instructions, keep dreaming without acting, keep waiting for permission. Because the moment someone starts building instead of waiting, starts questioning instead of obeying, that person becomes unpredictable. And unpredictable people are dangerous to systems that depend on order. Machiavelli saw this clearly. The world, he observed, is not fair. It does not reward goodness. It rewards audacity. It rewards the ones who refuse to wait for the rules to favor them and instead learn how to navigate them. Which brings us to the first brutal truth. Most people remain broke because they're following a rulebook that was never written for their benefit. They were handed a simple formula: work hard, save a little, hope for the best. But wealthy people don't depend on hope. They depend on strategy. They don't just save, they invest. They don't spend their lives working for money. They build structures where money works for them. Comment: I pay myself first, because that single decision, that one shift, is where everything either starts or stays stuck. Picture two people, same city, same starting year. The first follows the traditional path, gets a job, trades time for a paycheck, saves what's left over, hopes it compounds and is something meaningful. The second also works, but alongside that, studies markets, learns to sell, experiments with building something of their own. A small business, a side project, a digital platform. 10 years later, the first person is exhausted. Their income barely moved. Inflation quietly destroyed most of what they saved. The second person has something completely different: assets, cash flow, leverage, options. What changed? Not intelligence, not hours worked, not luck. Perspective changed. Rich people don't play by the same rules as everyone else. They follow three principles instead: own, control, multiply. Most people are taught to trade time for money. But time is the worst currency you can trade, because it depletes constantly and can never be recovered. Ownership doesn't deplete. When you own something, a business, a system, a brand, an idea, you change the entire equation. You stop working solely for money. Money starts working for you. But the majority never takes that first step. Why? Fear. Fear stops millions of people every single day. Fear of failing. Fear of looking ridiculous. Fear of stepping off the path everyone else is walking. What they never realize is this: the path everyone walks rarely leads anywhere worth going. It leads to a retirement party, a room temperature cake, and a pension that barely covers the basics. Fear builds a cage, and that cage has a beautiful name: stability. Stability sounds safe, but in many cases, it quietly destroys opportunity. Jobs vanish. Economies shift. Inflation eats savings without asking permission. The structure people believed was solid collapses. That's not security. That's deferred risk. People who build wealth understand something different. They aren't chasing security. They're chasing control. Control over their time. Control over their income. Control over the direction of their own lives. And to gain that control, they take risks. Not reckless risks. Strategic ones. They understand that risk isn't the enemy. Risk is often the door. As Machiavelli suggested, fortune tends to favor the bold. Not the loudest, not the most emotional, the bold. Those who move forward when everyone else hesitates. Comment: I build in silence. But here's another truth most people overlook. Even when they understand all of this, they stay stuck. Why? Because they confuse motion with progress. They stay busy without advancing. Like a hamster on a wheel, constant movement, zero forward momentum. They work hard on things that don't move their lives anywhere meaningful. Jobs that drain them, habits that dull their focus, distractions that consume their hours. And they convince themselves it's progress. But building wealth isn't about movement. It's about direction. You must learn how money flows, then position yourself where it passes. Build leverage. Capture more value than you spend. Protect what you earn. Multiply it. That's the complete formula. Simple, not easy, but absolutely possible. Think of money like a river. Most people stand on the bank, waiting for the current to splash them with a few drops. Wealthy people do something entirely different. They build channels. They redirect the river so it flows directly toward their land. Same river, same world, same opportunities. Two completely different approaches. One group waits, the other builds. One group hopes, the other acts. And once you see that difference, you can't unsee it. Now the game gets even more interesting. Machiavelli identified two forces that quietly control human behavior: fear and desire. Every powerful leader, every great strategist, every empire builder understood this. The wealthy understand it too. They know that people rarely make decisions from pure logic. Most decisions come from emotion. Fear of missing out, the desire for status, the need to belong, the hunger to feel significant. And the people who understand these emotions gain a powerful edge. They don't just sell products. They sell identity. They sell the feeling of becoming someone different. Look at the most successful brands in the world. They rarely focus on the product alone. They focus on how it makes someone feel to have it. Confidence, success, status, belonging. That is the real currency of modern wealth. Understanding human psychology is that powerful. When you learn how people think, what they fear, what they secretly want, you start seeing opportunity everywhere. And the moment you can connect real value to real human desire, money begins moving toward you. Because the person who can make others want what they offer will never struggle financially. Influence creates opportunity. Attention creates leverage. Leverage creates wealth. But before you take that step, understand this: success attracts resistance. The moment you begin to rise, people notice, and not everyone will celebrate. Some will whisper. Others will criticize. They'll say you changed, that you got arrogant, that you just got lucky. But they won't see the nights you stayed up building while they were resting. They won't see the risks you took while they were hesitating. They won't see the pressure you carried while they played it safe. They only see the result. And sometimes they'll judge you for it. Machiavelli warned of this centuries ago. Power always attracts opposition, and wealth often does the same. When you rise without asking permission, you silently remind others of the risks they never took. That makes them uncomfortable. But that discomfort is part of the price. You cannot pursue extraordinary results while waiting for universal approval. Those two things almost never coexist. So ask yourself honestly, are you willing to pay that price? Are you willing to face the criticism? To step outside the comfortable expectations? To stand alone sometimes while building something others don't yet understand? Because that's frequently what the path demands. The world was never divided by intelligence. It was never divided purely by effort either. The real division is perspective. From a young age, most people are trained to follow instructions. Sit down, memorize this, don't question that. Raise your hand, get good grades, find a safe job, stay there for 40 years, retire quietly. That was the script handed to most people, and most accepted it without ever asking whether it made sense. Think carefully. This system wasn't designed primarily to create independent wealth builders. It was designed to create stability, to produce reliable workers, to keep society functioning smoothly. Schools rarely teach how to sell. They rarely teach negotiation, investing, building businesses, creating assets. And yet those are exactly the skills that produce financial freedom. Because someone who masters those skills no longer depends on the system. They can build their own path. And independence is something large systems don't always encourage. The wealthy recognized this reality long ago. Instead of blindly following the rules, they learned how the system actually works, then used that knowledge to engineer their own strategies. They understood a powerful principle. Wealth is rarely created through labor alone. It's created through leverage. Leverage means multiplying your effort. Instead of 1 hour producing $1, leverage allows one action to produce value again and again. Think about someone who works only for a salary. Their income is completely tied to their time. Stop working, stop earning. Now imagine someone who builds an asset, a business, a platform, content, a digital product. That asset can keep generating value even when they're not actively working. The gap between these two paths grows enormous over time. One trades time, the other builds systems. And systems scale. Most people never ask the most dangerous question that exists. What if everything I was taught about money was incomplete? Why don't they ask it? Because comfort is addictive. It feels good to be safe. It feels good to be accepted. But comfort often hides a silent danger. It slowly replaces ambition with routine. People stop challenging themselves, stop exploring their potential. They settle into patterns that feel stable but limit growth. And the most dangerous thing is that this slow drift can feel completely normal. People think they're content, but in many cases they're just numb. Their curiosity fades. Their drive disappears. Their days become predictable. Years pass quietly, and before they realize it, the window to build something greater has closed. Machiavelli warned that people tend to forget danger when times feel comfortable. But danger never forgets them. Economic shifts happen. Industries transform. Technology evolves. The world keeps moving, whether you prepared or not. That's why power, strategy, and awareness matter. Because the world respects strength far more than comfort. And strength is built through discipline, through strategy, through learning how the real game is played. If someone genuinely wants to build wealth, they must start unlearning certain assumptions. They must stop leaning on comforting illusions and accept one of the hardest truths there is. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Not your boss, not the government, not society. Your future depends entirely on the actions you choose to take. Which leads us to the most important starting point of all, skill. In the modern world, skill is a weapon. And those who sharpen it hold an enormous advantage. Not degrees, not diplomas, not certificates hanging on a wall. Real, practical skills. The kind that produce value in the real world. Selling, writing, coding, designing, marketing, persuasion, negotiation. These are the tools that build empires today. Because every great business, every powerful brand, every successful venture is built on value creation. And value is created by people who possess skills others need. So if you want to begin this path, you don't start with money. You start with mastery. Choose one skill, not 5, not 10, one. Then sharpen it every single day until you become impossible to ignore. Treat it like a weapon. Practice when others rest. Study when others scroll. Improve when others complain. Because mastery does something powerful, it builds confidence. And confidence attracts opportunity. When you become genuinely exceptional at something valuable, people notice. Doors that were invisible before start opening. Skill creates value. Value attracts money. And the more value you create, the more money starts moving in your direction. But skill alone is only the beginning. Once you have skill, the next step is leverage. Leverage is what separates the wealthy from the overworked. Most people think about money in terms of hours. How much will I make today? How much will I earn this week? But that mindset traps you in a small box. Workers think in hours. Owners think in systems. Instead of asking how much can I earn today, they ask a different question. What can I build today that keeps generating tomorrow? That shift changes everything. A job is linear. 1 hour of work equals 1 unit of pay, but systems are exponential. A product can sell thousands of times. A video can be watched millions of times. Content can keep producing value years after it was created. That's why the internet has become the greatest leverage machine in history. It amplifies effort. One person can reach millions. One idea can spread across the world overnight. One creation can build an entire business. The internet doesn't care where you were born. It doesn't care about your background, your accent, your past, your title. It cares about one thing: what you create and the value you bring. A single post can go viral. A single product can scale globally. A single offer can change someone's life completely. But there's a barrier that stops most people before they reach that stage: visibility. Many people are terrified of being seen. They fear rejection. They fear judgment. They fear criticism. But invisibility is far more dangerous than failure. Because if nobody knows you exist, your opportunities remain invisible too. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Perception is power. The way people see you shapes the opportunities you receive. When they see strength, confidence, and clarity, they respond differently. When they see doubt and hesitation, they respond differently. That's why successful individuals invest heavily in their presence, their communication, the way they show up in the world. They don't wait in silence hoping to be discovered. They step forward and claim attention. They tell their story. They build presence, even when they're afraid. Because the world rarely rewards the most deserving person. It rewards the most visible and undeniable one. When you begin to rise, something predictable happens. Resistance appears. People will question you. Some will mock you. They'll say you changed, that you became arrogant, that you got lucky. But they won't see the sacrifices you made along the way. The nights you spent building while they slept. The failures you faced while learning. The pressure you carried when nothing seemed to work. They only see the result. And sometimes they'll judge you for it without understanding the road. That is the price of progress. But on the other side of that resistance is something most people never experience: freedom. Not the illusion of freedom, not weekends and short vacations. Real freedom. The freedom to decide how your time is spent. The freedom to choose who you work with. The freedom to say no without fear. The freedom to wake up and design your own day. That's what wealth actually buys. Not luxury objects. Options. But even after someone starts earning serious money, the path doesn't end. In many ways, the hardest challenge appears after wealth arrives. Because earning money and keeping money are two completely different skills. Money behaves like fire. Used wisely, it provides warmth, security, and power. Used carelessly, it destroys everything. Many people who suddenly become wealthy lose it quickly. Why? Because they confuse wealth with status. They try to look rich instead of staying rich. They buy expensive liabilities. They chase approval. They try to impress strangers. And slowly their wealth disappears. The truly wealthy think differently. They spend strategically. They feel no need to impress people they don't respect. They focus on assets. Assets that produce income. Assets that grow in value. Assets that protect their future. Every dollar becomes a soldier, and they send those soldiers into the world to bring back more. That's how wealth multiplies. Not through luck, not through chance, but through disciplined investment. And once wealth begins to grow, protection becomes essential. Because wealth attracts attention. It attracts competitors, opportunists, sometimes even betrayal. That's why the wealthy build protection around what they create. Legal structures, contracts, clear boundaries, strategic partnerships. They guard their assets like a fortress. Because power without protection can become weakness overnight. But there's a final level on this path that few people discuss: the psychology of endgame. What happens when someone finally reaches financial success? Because money doesn't magically solve internal problems. It reveals them. If someone was reckless before wealth, they'll be more reckless with more money. If someone was insecure before wealth, they can remain insecure even with millions. If someone lacked purpose before wealth, money won't create purpose magically. True wealth requires something deeper than money. It requires clarity, understanding what wealth actually means. Wealth is not the sports car, not the luxury watch, not the private jet. Those are symbols, echoes, sometimes distractions. Real wealth is control. Control over your time. Control over your environment. Control over your decisions. If someone else owns your schedule, you're not truly free. If someone else controls your options, you're not truly rich, regardless of how impressive your paycheck looks. That's why the great builders think beyond themselves. They think in generations. They think in legacy, not just money for today, but systems that keep providing for their family long after they're gone. Ideas that keep shaping the world. That is the final stage of wealth. A creation that outlives its creator. But the truth is most people will never reach that stage. Not because they lack the capacity, but because they never begin. They hear ideas like this. They feel inspired for a moment. They nod, they agree, and then they return to the same routine. Back to comfort, back to distraction, back to the familiar cage. And the system welcomes them back, rewards them with just enough stability to keep them quiet, just enough comfort to stop them from questioning the script again. And the cycle continues. But a small number of people choose differently. They decide that today is the day they stop living entirely on someone else's terms. They break the script. They choose growth over comfort. They study money the way a soldier studies strategy. They sharpen their skills, build things nobody gave them permission to build, and when they finally succeed, they don't apologize for it. They don't ask for approval. They simply keep building, because they understand something most people never realize. Wealth was never mysterious. It was always simple. Learn, build, own, protect, multiply, repeat. And above all, remember this. Nobody is coming to save you. There is no perfect moment. There is no magic opportunity waiting to appear. There is only this moment, this decision, this question. Are you willing to face the uncomfortable part? Because if you are, something extraordinary happens over time. You rise. Maybe not immediately, maybe not next week, but eventually you rise. Not as a follower, but as a builder. Not as someone waiting for opportunities, but as someone who creates them. You start moving differently, thinking differently, acting strategically. You stop playing the small game. You start playing the real one. And you win, not because it was fair, not because it was easy, but because you had the courage to walk through fire while others stayed in the shade. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs more builders. And the path was always there, hidden in plain sight. Simple, brutal, waiting for someone bold enough to follow it. The illusions are gone now. The truth is clear. The script ends here. Your story begins now. And if you want to keep descending into the deep psychology of power and wealth, if you want to arm your mind with tools they don't teach in any school, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're just getting started. The old you is already gone. Now go build the new one.